Sure, there have been ties before, especially in racing. The most notable one that I can remember is the 2011 NASCAR Cup season at Homestead between Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. Stewart winning the final race and leading the most laps, which broke the tiebreaker with Edwards for most wins. He was a force on North Carolina short tracks in the 1970s, and in 1984 finished runner-up in the NASCAR Cup Series point standings. But IROC champ? That's right. No one knew what to expect out of quote-unquote rookie Harry Gant. I don't know about you, but I remember where I was at when the direction of my life was formed, Michigan International Speedway, on August 23, 1974, when I saw Richard Petty's fire red and petty blue Dodge go screaming by. Since then, probably just like you, we've been hooked. From our first media gig at the tender age of 15 in 1983 with Grand National Scene, to printing our own Supercars Today magazine in the 1990s, hence our name. Nothing against our open wheel friends, but if it has fenders, our nosy nature wants to find out the who, the why, and the how. We don't necessarily interview these people, we have conversations. So please subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to be notified of new content every Tuesday at noon. Thanks for watching, and please like, comment on, and share these videos. Today on the program, in the 1980s, you were going to be hard-pressed to find anyone who was more dominant in the stock car realm than Darrell Waltrip. Then you throw in 10 other guys with him, and Hard Luck Harry, well, was he even looked at? The International Race of Champions, or the acronym IROC as it was better known, and Roman numeral IX, or number 9, for the 1985 season. And drivers included Mario Andretti, Derek Bell, AJ Foyt, Tom Gloy, Terry Labonte, Jochen Moss, Bobby Rahal, Tom Sneva, John Watson, Cale Yarborough, and Darrell Waltrip and Harry Gant. Nothing against Handsome Harry, but with that kind of lineup, including 3 former champions like Andretti, Foyt, and Yarborough, did anybody really give him a chance? With CBS doing the televising, Ken Squire and Chris Economaki in the booth, and Ned Jarrett and coach Dick Vermeil on the sidelines, the season was ready to start. Starting in round 1 on February 15th, the odds for Harry to win the title really didn't look all that promising either, especially on the last lap coming through turn 4, when AJ Foyt, Tom Sneva, Cale Yarborough, and others spun, coming to the line, and gave the win basically to Darrell Waltrip, who was running 4th. After that wild finish at Daytona, could the IROC boys put on another good show? June 8th, 1985 at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course? Well, Darrell Waltrip was starting 12th after winning at Daytona. Harry Gant would start 8th, and Mario Andretti, who finished last at Daytona, would start 1st and would jump out to an early lead and take off from the rest of the field. As the race wore on, Andretti took the point lead, as others continued to have problems during the race. Hometown favorite Bobby Rahal in the silver Camaro reeled in Andretti, and with only a handful of laps to go, was dogging his bumper, and with 2 circuits left, spun him out. And Rahal went on to win, and Andretti finished 3rd. In victory lane, Rahal tried to explain that it was just a racing accident, and of course, Andretti didn't believe it. You know now the fireworks were ready to start, with the next race coming up at Talladega. But now there were only 3, as the July 27, 1985 race at the then Alabama International Motor Speedway was rained out. The talk heading into Michigan now was bonus points, and money, and the differences in purses. Here's the bonus point breakdown, and what monies are paid out. $150,000 for first, and $75,000 for second. And Waltrip led Rahal by 1 point, while Harry Gant was mired with 19 in 9th. As for Andretti, he was forced out of competition thanks to a crash at Michigan in an IndyCar race a couple weeks before. Bobby Ray Hall started number 1 based on his win at Mid-Ohio. Darrell Waltrip started alongside in the number 2 position and wasted no time in jumping into the lead for those bonus points. However, Terry Labonte, starting 10th, wasted no time in powering into the lead by lap 5. The stock car guys were now proving their dominance as Labonte led, Waltrip was second, and Gant was now making his way up through the field, and finally took the lead on lap 12, passing Waltrip and then getting around Labonte for his bonus points. A.J. Foyt, who actually had a shot at the title coming into the race, dropped out, claiming the engine was on 7 cylinders. He actually almost didn't make the race as he had plane trouble coming in from Texas. As Gant and Labonte put a show on at the front of the field, Waltrip seemed to drop back, and eventually Cale Yarborough caught him. As the TV broadcast updated the points, drivers don't have radios and Waltrip didn't know what they were. In one of the greatest underdog moves in IROC history, Harry Gant beat Labonte to the line by inches and claimed the IROC title based on the tiebreaker in that he finished in front of Waltrip in the last race and led the most laps for those bonus points. Speaking to Ned Jarrett in Victory Lane, Gant said he knew what would happen if he didn't win the race and didn't lead the most laps.
We felt like if we won the race and led the most laps, we had a shot at winning the race.
Hey, Handsome Harry, what about that close finish with Labonte?
I switched all the accessories off and hoped I could pull up the start-finish line ahead of him.
On the other side of Victory Lane, the driver who was favored to win the title this year talked to Dick Vermeil about his disappointment.
A little, $75,000 worth.
And Waltrip continued here.
No, ignorance is no excuse, and I should have figured out the system before we started the race.
What a difference $75,000 makes, and this photo pretty much captures it all. Don't feel too bad for Terry Labonte. He won a race in 1989 as well as that season's championship. Waltrip? Well, his last IROC win came at Daytona in this very season, and this would be the closest he'd get to the title, a second place. Harry Gant picked up the nickname Hard Luck Harry because in 3 full-time Cup seasons, he finished second 10 times before earning his first Cup win in early 1982. But now, it looks like you can call him Champ Harry. Gant, he received an automatic invite as the reigning series champion to IROC 10 in 1986, and like Waltrip, 1985 was his best season, with 1 win and the series title. As for Darrell, well, don't feel too bad for him, because he'd go on to win the 1985 NASCAR Cup Championship and numerous other races before retiring as one of the legends of the sport. As for Harry, perhaps his victory over Terry was a slight payback, in that the year before, Labonte won the Cup title by the slimmest of margins over Gant. And in the fall of 1991, he won 4 Cup races and 2 BGN races to become known as Mr. September, and in 1992 won his final Cup race at Michigan, of all places, to become the oldest Cup winner in history. Oh, and by the way, as a sort of amusing postscript, the IROC series at the time was all Chevy Camaro race cars. And what's the hauler that pulled them around? A Ford truck.